Lunch with my daughter used to be something simple. A sandwich, maybe soup, and the quiet comfort of watching her talk about things that seemed small but mattered to her, classes, friends, whatever new idea had taken hold of her that week. That afternoon at the cafe, though, something felt slightly off. She kept checking her phone, not obsessively, just often enough that I noticed. When I asked what was going on, she gave the kind of smile teenagers give when they want a conversation to stop before it starts. "Just stuff," she said. I didn't push. Parents learn when pushing helps and when it only makes a door close harder. We finished lunch, hugged in the parking lot, and she walked toward the bus stop while I headed to my car. It wasn't until I got home that I realized my keys weren't in my pocket. I checked the car, the driveway, my jacket. Nothing. The cafe was only 10 minutes away, so I drove back thinking it would be a quick, slightly embarrassing errand. Inside, the place was quieter than before. The afternoon crowd had thinned. One of the baristas, the same one who'd brought our drinks earlier, noticed me almost immediately. "You were here earlier, right?" she asked. "Yeah, I think I left my house keys." Her expression changed in a way that made the moment feel heavier than it should have been. She glanced toward the door, then back at me. "Can you come with me for a second?" I assumed maybe someone had turned the keys in behind the counter. Instead, she led me to a small office near the back hallway. Once we stepped inside, she closed the door. Then she locked it. That was the moment the air shifted. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "This is going to sound strange." I waited. She hesitated, like someone deciding whether they were crossing a line. "I pulled the security footage of your daughter's phone call." I blinked. "My daughter's what?" She pointed toward a small monitor on the desk. "You need to hear this," she said. "But promise me you won't panic." I didn't know how to respond to that. Panic about what? Still, I nodded. She pressed play. The camera angle showed the same table we'd sat at earlier. My daughter was there alone now. Her sandwich was half eaten. Her phone was against her ear. At first it felt almost intrusive watching it. Then she started speaking. "Yeah," she said. "He just left." Her voice sounded different when she thought no one was listening. More deliberate. There was a pause while she listened to the person on the other end. "He usually gets home around 3:30, she said. "Sometimes later if he stops somewhere." I felt my stomach tighten. Maybe she was talking to a friend who needed a ride. Maybe something harmless. Another pause. "Yes," she said. "His office is upstairs. He keeps the door locked most of the time." I glanced at the barista. She didn't look at me. Her eyes stayed on the screen. My daughter continued. "No, I've never seen the actual paperwork," she said. "But he takes calls late at night sometimes. Like serious ones." There was another silence where she listened. Then she said something that made the room feel suddenly smaller. "I'm not saying he did anything. I don't know what's going on." I leaned forward without realizing it. "What is this?" I asked quietly. The barista didn't answer. She just let the video keep playing. On the screen, my daughter rubbed her forehead like she was trying to concentrate. "Yes," she said. "I can tell you what I've noticed." Another pause. Then. "No, he doesn't know I'm talking to you." I felt something strange then, not anger, not exactly. Disorientation, like someone had slightly tilted the ground under my feet. She wasn't gossiping. She wasn't joking. She sounded careful. The kind of careful people use when they're answering questions. After a few more seconds, the barista paused the video. "I stopped it there when I first watched it," she said. "Why were you watching it at all?" She left quickly. The barista explained, and she kept looking toward the entrance like she was expecting someone. It felt odd. I stared at the frozen frame of my daughter on the monitor. "Play the rest." The barista hesitated.
"Are you sure?"
"Wes?" She hit play again. My daughter leaned back in the chair. The unseen voice on the other end must have asked something specific, because she answered immediately. "He works for a consulting firm," she said. Finance-related stuff. Pause. No, I've never been to the office. Another pause. Then the sentence that clarified everything. The investigator you mentioned said you're looking into his company. Investigator. The word hung in the room. My daughter kept talking, calmly describing things she'd noticed over the past year, late calls, arguments I'd had with colleagues over speakerphone, nights I came home exhausted, not accusations, observations. Fragments of a puzzle she didn't understand. When the video ended, the office fell silent. The cafe noise outside the door sounded distant, like another world continuing normally. The barista folded her arms gently. I thought you should hear it, she said. Before someone else told you. I nodded slowly. I picked up my keys from the desk. Apparently someone had turned them in while the video was playing. Thank you, I said. Outside, the afternoon sun looked exactly the same as it had an hour earlier. But something fundamental had shifted. At dinner that night, my daughter came home and set her backpack down like any other evening. She talked about a quiz she thought she'd failed. I listened, and for the first time, I realized something uncomfortable. Whatever she believed about me now existed beyond my control. At one point she looked up and noticed me watching her. What? She asked. Nothing, I said. Because I didn't know yet whether the truth, whatever it turned out to be, would bring us closer again, or confirm that somewhere along the way, she had stopped being sure who her father really was.